When you talk about free agency and bringing guys in, given that you could have a coaching change, would you value continuity a little bit more in terms of maybe bringing back guys, trying to keep the roster as intact as possible, just so there's one less thing to deal with?
I'm not sure a coaching change would affect, who we try to bring back of our existing free agents. Certainly, just talking about Derek Fisher would not affect
Right.
our desire to bring Derek back as a starter. We do have several bench players that are going to be free agents. I don't think it would affect that, no.
Okay.
Beyond the ability to wear flip-flops, does he know what the terms of the contract would be if he wants to come back?
I don't know. I think the first thing is getting, him to the point where he wants to come back, and then I think making a deal would be an easy part of the decision. I don't think with this organization and his ties to this organization, and our respect for him, I can't see a circumstance where there's not a deal made. That's fair.
It's particularly with how he played in certain moments of the playoffs, and Ron seemed to prove his worth and why you got him in the first place. What are your thoughts generally on bringing him in last year and how he did this season?
Yeah, I think he was great. He was delightfully different in so many ways. Ending, of course, with that 9 minutes of post-game press conference. Throughout the year, he was always on time, always worked hard, tried to fit in from day one. I think he'll be better next year, more comfortable, providing we run the same offense, with the players, that are on the team and what they expect. I think he put a lot of pressure on himself, by talking about how he was the one difference, and therefore if the Lakers didn't win the championship, he's the one to blame. I think he put a lot of pressure on himself, so that part worked out, but I think that might make it easier for him next year. But he was, you always wonder, when you sign a free agent, because you don't know that person, and in Ron's case, obviously, you think you know who he is because of all the things you've heard about. And some of it you like, and a lot of it you don't like. But I will say from the beginning, there were no problems that I'm aware of on the court or off the court. It was all good, and I think he struggled a little bit, with the offense from time to time. But all's well that ends well.
Mitch, it's been put out there that Bill might be asked to take a pay cut. I don't know, obviously, if you want to comment specifically on that, but do you have that indication, or do you think that's been a false projection?
Once again, the way I'm going to answer that question is with his relationship with the primary decision makers in this organization. I don't think there'd be a problem getting a deal done.
There are rumors about bringing another possible old Kobe's nemesis after Ron tests Raja Bell, that he's in the interest of the Lakers.
I'm saying that again?
There are some rumors about Raja Bell being a potential interest from the Lakers as a defensive-minded guard.
Yeah, we number one, we're prohibited
Yeah.
by the NBA from discussing free agency until July 1st, and even if we could talk about it today, I wouldn't share with you who our interests are. So.
Talking about positions, like getting one more player for the backcourt, kind of defensive-minded.
We have a lot of uncertainty in the backcourt, so we'd have to address our backcourt during, probably our primary concern during the off-season would be our backcourt.
Mitch, would you say this is the hardest playoff run you've had since you've been here as an organization? The first round series against Oklahoma, it seemed like took you guys up to the challenge until that last game against Boston.
I'm getting up in my years, so I struggle to go back 20 or 25 years. I seem to recall a playoff stretch when we played, and John, you may have to help me here.
88.
88, we went 7-7-7.
Sweep 7-7-7.
Sweep 7-7-7, and I was an assistant general manager. I wasn't a player, but we ended up with Detroit. We were down 3-2, very similar with 2 home games. Kareem got fouled on a sky hook shot, had to make 2 free throws. and we had 3 7-game series, but that was many, many years ago. Certainly in the last decade, this is our toughest championship, and possibly our most satisfying.
Can you guys address some of your needs with the draft, even though you only have 2 second-round picks?
Probably not. You know, we have 43, we have 58. You know, history tells us it's not likely that the 43rd player makes your team, and if he does, you know, he plays a role next year. 58, those guys typically don't make your team, but we hope to get lucky.
Do you anticipate, I mean, last year, a lot of the picks were sold. Do you anticipate trying to draft guys this year that you may want to hold on to see if they make the roster?
This year, I anticipate that we'd use our pick tomorrow. Obviously, 43 is much more important than 58, but I anticipate that we would look to draft a player at 43.
Is this a deep draft? I mean, we know about the top guys, but beyond, you know.
I think the top guys make it a good draft, but maybe after 15, you know, you can get a guy at maybe 35 or 40 that maybe you thought would be drafted at 19 or 20. I think at that point, after 15 or 16, it kind of starts to get kind of mushy a little bit. But I do think that we can find, you know, 35 to 40 players that make a team in the NBA. And I'm hoping there's one available at 43.
Mitch, suppose couldn't have envisioned it going much better from acquiring Powell. I mean, obviously that was something that you felt good about as soon as it happened, but your reflections now with 3 straight finals with Powell.
Well, you know, three straight finals is just incredible. You know, when we made the finals this year, and we beat Phoenix in Game 6, you know, I remember sitting back and just saying, I can't believe we're in the finals, you know, 3 years in a row. I mean, the cards that you have to play and the luck that you have to have that happen 3 years in a row is just unusual. You know, especially with 30 teams in the NBA and the kind of parity that we have. So, Powell's participation, certainly. I mean, we got Powell in the first year, we got Derek in the first year. You can point to Derek and say he had a lot to do with it. Powell, to me, you know, when you make a list of players in the NBA, you know, that play his position, you know, you can argue that he's at the top. I mean, we're biased, and we might say he's the best big man in the league. You know, but even if you didn't agree, you probably have to put him in the top 5. So, you know, to pick up a top 5 player 3 years ago, you know, certainly we're pleased. More pleased, and he seems to be getting better too.
You've been around Derek since the beginning of his career, and you've obviously seen his path as it's gone on. Can you talk just a little bit about the way he's grown as a leader and how he's come into that role?
Yeah, it's not surprising. You know, if you knew Derek 14 years ago, you know, you could see, you know, that the potential was there, and he was always a solid citizen and a solid voice in the locker room. And you know, he's just gotten better and better, you know, as the years have gone by. You know, it'll be a sad day when, you know, he does decide to hang it up and retire. You know, we're hoping that that's not anytime soon. But he's just gotten better and better, and it's not surprising. It's really not. You know, you look at guys that have, you know, impact on the game, you know, ability to play in this league, you know, his citizenship characteristics, his professionalism, you know, his integrity, the class in which he carries himself. You know, that was there from day one, and he's just, you know, gotten better and better as the years have gone on.